Hi, everyone. Welcome again to the Astro-Tarot Deep Dive. I'm Millie. I'm here with Sushila. We are here to do an Astro-Tarot Deep Dive for the month of November. I think it's an important, pivotal month
Mhm.
that, as Sushila and I were discussing, kind of finally brings a lot of things to make sense that we have been talking about in previous forecasts for many, many months. And I think that this is the month, especially with that full moon in Taurus at the very beginning of the month, that kind of has this moment of like, oh, this makes sense. Oh, things are materializing. Um, all of the shedding that and the letting go that we were talking about forever, I think now makes sense.
Yeah, and it's uncomfortable. Yeah, so we're recording this on November 6th, so we're still in that full moon energy of yesterday, the 5th.
Right.
And it's, I was saying to Millie how normally I'm wide awake on a full moon, like a werewolf, and I slept like a rock, which is my normal for the rest of the non-full moon time. And the dreams were, I'm gonna have to spend some time, looking up all the meanings because it felt meaningful. And I think we're going through like some deep stuff individually and collectively
Mhm.
and karmically. um, instant karma, as John Lennon sang once upon a time.
Yes.
Um, it's like, yeah, time is a bit, you might feel like you're jumping timelines or stuff that you put out there a long time ago is like, whoa, showing up. Things that were um, challenging and felt resistant or stuck, all of a sudden, just out of the blue, you're like, well, what did I do? Well, probably nothing. It was probably just the energy of,
Right.
cosmic energy or whatever. Or
Yeah.
whatever. There's the technical term. Just cosmic energy or whatever,
Or
allowing you
whatever.
to actually get it now. And I think a lot of things, we've been purging and clearing and purging and clearing and getting hit over the head with lessons and going, okay, okay, I got it. And then no, not really.
Right.
And then
Exactly.
and now we're like, okay, I don't just understand it, I feel it.
Yeah. I think that when we look back at what 2025 has been, it has been and you can probably speak more to this in numerology, a year of the nine, right? In Chinese astrology, a year of the snake.
Mhm.
Lots of shedding, lots of transformation, death and rebirth. And I think that for the last 5 years, it has felt that way, but there's something culminating, I think,
Yeah.
about what 2025 has been. And when we go back to the um, months of March and April, those are pivotal months. Those were months that began this very aggressive awakening that
Mhm.
then I think went into the summer, at least in the northern hemisphere, right? Between June and I would say through the end of September. And
Yeah.
those eclipses in September that just took you through this roller coaster of awakening, of letting go, of a lot of miracles coming up for people. Like,
Sure.
talk about releasing the how with certain manifestations for people and
Yeah.
just kind of witnessing, like, this is what happens when my desire matches, a different energy within me. And that being materialized and this full moon of November, the full moon in Taurus, really just reminding us you have to be grounded and embodied in yourself.
Yeah.
That is your source of safety.
Yeah. I think the awareness of, if I'm not aligned even within myself to my goals and desires. I mean, practice what you preach, walk the talk, whatever, however you want to frame that.
Yep.
It's like the universe isn't having it,
Mm-mm.
you know. It's just not. It's like I worry for people who keep insisting on that narrative, on the same old narrative, because I just kind of feel like the universe is going to come by and go, we don't,
Yep.
and off you go. It's been showing up like that. A lot of people have sensed it ahead of time and going like, oh no, I need to shape up here and get things underway. And they do, and really good things happen. Or they
Yeah.
were not able to let go of certain things, whether it was people or habits or whatever, and then finally going like, what am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
I gotta let it go. And it's like it can be really painful just because you're accustomed to something
Right.
habitual, it's natural, it's normal, or whatever. But in reality, what is on the other side of the door is so much more. And we're in this time of chaos. The whole planet is under chaos, and we are shedding, and the truth is coming to light, and it's disruptive. Everybody says they want the truth, and then it's like, that movie, you
Right.
can't handle the truth. And
Right.
I think it is. It's so contrary to what we were fed and what we believed, that it is so jarring. It's really hard to take all in one shot. It's one thing we're dealing with our individual stuff, but then we're dealing with like global issues that are just, they just seem bonkers.
Right. And I think an important thing to remember when it comes to that is that, the collective itself as an entity of its own is also going through a transformation and a transition. So there are certain things that are happening that imply an ending of some sort. But like with anything that usually comes to an end, there's a transitionary period that is very difficult.
Yeah,
And that's what the collective and these world events represent. And it's a mass awakening and elevation of consciousness. And so the way that that can look like, I think it's really, the way that you phrased it is really spot on in terms of those that have like felt it, those that have gotten it, like they're just naturally doing things to, to say, oh, I got to get it together. I got to do something different. Um,
yeah. As
manifest.
opposed to, this doesn't apply to me. It's all
Uh-huh.
over there. I think
Right.
people are realizing, oh, like this is me as well. I need to. It's
Right. And
not all up
exactly.
there. Yeah.
Exactly. And there's something to coming back to yourself that you have to recognize that it affects the collective. The way that you move through life, the way that you move through the world, the chaos that you entertain in your life and in your world will reflect out to the collective.
Yeah.
And that creates, or that reminds you, and reminds each of us, I think, of just how powerful we are. Right now, what the collective is reflecting back to us is the disconnection that has existed within each of us as individuals. And it has looked like a lot of different things. And it can look like being in, overstaying in a relationship, overstaying in a job that feels unaligned. Oh, like all of this is energy and it's vibrational. And that may seem like ridiculous and it may seem like I don't understand how those two things or how those things are tied, but they
Hmm.
are. As within, so without. As above, so below.
Yeah.
And so it's an interesting time and the awakening, I think some physical symptoms for me have been a lot of ear ringing, pretty loud,
Yeah.
like than ever before, headaches. I'm not someone who gets headaches often,
Hmm.
but they have been more frequent and dreams, as you mentioned, um, like this is bizarre. And you were sharing something before we started recording. Like, the feeling of reading someone's mind
Yeah.
is like, so several people telling me how I was just thinking that, right?
Yeah.
Or thinking of something and getting the phone call. It's been more and more and more. All of these things are this awakening, this elevation in consciousness, and every part of our life matters when it comes to this.
Yeah, I think, you know, in certain circles, you're going to hear things like we're shifting timelines or whatever. There's like this whole metaphysical side of things that maybe the average person isn't aware of.
Right.
Maybe if they're watching this video, they're probably more inclined to that,
Right.
way of thinking. Um, but it does feel like that. There's a lot of symptoms of like you were just somewhere and it doesn't feel like the place that you've always been, like something's just out of place.
Yeah.
And and that like an inner knowing of certain things is very intangible, but you just, it's like all the little Tetris pieces of knowledge inside has just, oh, found its way and filled in all the gaps, and you're like, oh, okay, now without
Yeah.
putting effort into trying to get there. Whereas I feel like for the last several years, we have been trying, let me put all the blocks, like so they can figure it out. They don't fit. Like it's so
Yeah.
frustrating. This is my path. Why isn't it working? And now all of a sudden it's just like, just like, I don't know if we've all just gotten to that point of just getting used to it. Like
Mhm.
keep walking every day and you keep walking more every day, your cardio improves and you can walk
Right.
for 2 hours and not notice. Whereas, if you were
Right.
sitting on the couch, 15 minutes felt like a huge amount of effort all the time. It
Right.
feels like that in a subconscious way of like
Yeah.
there's certain things that are just natural now that I don't have to put effort into. Whether
Mhm.
it feels good or
Mhm.
it feels bad, it does actually feel like it's the right thing. And I say when it feels bad, I don't mean that it's not for us. It's just the feeling of like either, oh, I should have done this before, or how come I didn't know this sooner, or what have I
Mhm.
been wasting my time on,
Mhm.
or oh, all of that truth that's out there is really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But now
Yeah.
I can't unknow it. So
Right.
anyway, we're gonna do this reading. There's a lot of aspects happening, which I I called issues. We have a lot of issues in November, but we have a lot
Yeah.
of aspects, so we're gonna do them in weekly chunks.
Yeah.
That's my segue into let's
Yeah.
look at the first week because we're almost through it.
Mm. Right. So I think the first week, anytime we have a lunar event, whether it's a new moon or a full moon, but I think especially a full moon, that's the center that takes center stage, right? And so it's a full moon in Taurus. Um, it's an earth energy of things are clear. Things are manifesting, things are materializing. It is Taurus in the zodiac represents at its core our relationship to safety, our sense of safety within is our sense of safety embodied or not. And so this is the materialization or the potential manifestation of certain things that we have been embodying. So there is, for some people, it's been great. They have been embodying, they have been coming back to self, minding their thoughts, minding their nervous system, minding their business, minding their life, right? And for others, I really invite you to pay attention. How's your body feeling? How's your nervous system feeling? How are your thoughts feeling? Do you feel ungrounded? Because what your life is showing you right now, it's a direct correlation and materialization of where you've been, of what you've been entertaining, and it's not new. It's not new. So, yeah, I'm really curious to see what the cards say.
Um, do you want to? mention the all the aspects that we have for this week,
Oh, okay, sure.
and then I'll
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
just
So
see what they are.
November 2nd, we have Venus in Libra, square Jupiter in Cancer. And just go through the list?
Yeah,
Okay.
just to
Okay. All right. November 3rd, Mars in Scorpio, trine Neptune in Pisces. November 4th, Mars in Sagittarius, opposite Uranus in Gemini. November 5th, full moon in Taurus. November 6th, Mars in Sagittarius, sextile Pluto in Aquarius. November 6th, Venus enters Scorpio. And November 7th, that Venus in Scorpio squares Pluto in Aquarius. So all of these aspects are like bam, bam, bam.
and you
Yeah,
see why I call them issues.
right. They're not soft. They're very in
No,
your face.
in your face. So, okay, so everybody take a big deep breath because it's not that bad, but it's,
Right.
so the very first two cards that I have are the Wheel of Fortune and the Four of Wands. These are generally really good cards, but the
Mhm.
wheel, so she's got, I love this deck because you can see she's got a little stopwatch and a heart there where everything is
Okay.
kind of beginning, right? It's like
Yeah.
timing and everything. So again, when we think about the cycles, and we can't live in, I shouldn't say it that way, because we could create a state of constant good luck and positivity, but there are cycles to things. The
Right.
tides, the moon, the whatever. There is, here in Canada, we've got, fall. All the leaves have fallen and stuff and change colors. So things die and they move through cycles. So there are cycles. It's sort of reminding us that we are, things are coming back around. And some of those bigger
Mhm.
cycles we've never been alive for,
Mhm.
that we're
Mhm.
now a part of. And we came here in this time for that. The Four of Wands is representing this balance. It's very much a Wes Anderson kind of picture
Mm,
of everything sort of symmetrical and, two people dancing on the house. it
yeah.
it is that feeling of foundation and celebration, in a sense that we've made it this far. We have made it. It's like you can, as as challenging as it was and as empty-handed as you might feel, it's par for the course. if
Right.
if you've made it this far, pat yourself on the back. It is the
Yeah.
foundation for what is coming. And then the Six of Cups, now this always shows up as we approach Mercury retrograde,
Hmm.
always, without fail. And I know we haven't mentioned that yet, but we're in that shadow period where things from the past come back, and these memories from the past and the patterns of the past, and people show up. That starts
Yeah.
happening. It always happens. Um, to stay grounded. So pentacles here. So there's a lot of water and a lot of air and a lot of like mud, a lot of waves, um, collaboration, like how to connect. You don't have to connect with those people that you no longer feel are aligned, but you still require connection.
Mhm.
So it's, how to find healthy connection, how to find things that improve your life, how to optimize that grounded uh, state, and that Wheel of Fortune fortuitous circumstances. Then this is the King of Cups is very Scorpio energy, very Pisces energy, but it's a masculine energy. So it's not about suppressing your emotions, and it's not about letting them just, it is kind of, think, pause, feel, analyze,
Right.
transmute, find an outlet. Like, it's a
Mhm.
very mature way of interacting with yourself and others. There is this feeling of like, again, I think as we go into the Mercury retrograde, of not rocking the boat so
Mm,
much, or like
mhm.
we, we think a little bit more. Um, so as we end the week, so like today and tomorrow, we've got the Magician. To remember that you can manifest anything, and this frustration is just, they're little things that happen. It's not that you're doing something wrong or you're not manifesting correctly, or um, it's not meant for you. It's just the stuff that's there. There's dust, there's debris, there's pollution, there's static, like whatever. It's, that's all it is. And to just keep, yes, I can keep manifesting. Yes, I've learned. Yes, I know. Yes, I want. Yes, I deserve. Yes, I keep clearing. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Other,
Those are such beautiful cards, and I think that um we're just in a space of enough, like enough of the old story, enough of the old narrative, enough of pretending you don't see what you see, like make the hard decisions,
yeah.
take the leap of faith, and understand that as much as you may do it for yourself, you're also doing it for everyone else. Because I think that another thing that's happening is we are really beginning to see the purpose of some soul contracts with other people and how they're
Mhm.
coming to an end. And if there's enough awareness beyond just, the physical interaction, it's, oh, it was a soul contract. And this
Yeah.
is what we taught each other over the last however many years or whatever. And
Yeah.
it's gone. It's done. It's done. Um, that's a big one. That's a big one. So that takes me, the reason I brought that up is because that takes me to the week of November 9th, that second week, right? Um, November 9th, we have Mercury start its retrograde in Sagittarius. November 11th, we have Jupiter start its retrograde in Cancer. And November 12th, we have a Mercury-Mars conjunction in the sign of Sagittarius. So those retrogrades, you said something about like not rocking the boat, pause, think, right?
Yeah.
Mercury in Sagittarius is this energy of I'm going to speak my truth, that this is my truth, this is my philosophy of life, right? I think that Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius is always the invitation to um revisit that philosophy, revisit that truth, reconsider it, especially now. Especially now, because we're not just moving from month to month. We're not just moving from one season to another. We are moving from one timeline to another, from one reality to another. And so Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius is really what has 2020, how has 2025 shaped the philosophy of my life? What have I seen? How am I integrating it right now? And it's going to happen quickly. It's going to happen within that Mercury retrograde cycle. And that Jupiter retrograde in Cancer is about integrating all of the lessons we've learned around I can let go of that childhood story. I've reparented. Um, this integration is
Mhm.
going to happen fast. And that Mercury Mars conjunction in Sagittarius, because Mercury is retrograde, I think it's going to be more of an internal, yet another level of that internal, like, whoa, this, if I'm leaving that philosophy of life behind, this is the one that's integrating now,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So if the rest of November and through the end of the year feel like I've changed some more and things are really moving forward, is because that's how fast things are happening.
Yeah. Usually, I mean, we know the end of the year, so many things slow down, but
Right.
I mean, we were talking off prior to the recording that this November to maybe the end of April feels like a chunk of time. There's a period there. And we are really entering this new era, nicely represented by zero, the reset button, the Fool. And I love the depiction in this card because, okay, above ground, she's
Right.
just walking in a garden with a little bird, and underground, there's this, alligator beast or whatever under the
Yeah.
surface. So it's like, yes, on a certain level, we come to this realization that we know nothing.
Right.
We're
Right.
on the surface. We don't know all of the inner workings. And does that make us afraid? Or is that an opportunity?
Mm-hmm.
That's sounding cliche, but it is frightening. Like if you were walking along realizing that every time you stepped on something, you're actually walking on the back of like, a, whatever, a alligator the size of a building, you'd freak out. But at the same time,
Right.
you've been doing it all along,
Right.
So there is that, okay, I get to reinvent myself again. I get to hit the reset button. I'm still here. I'm still breathing. And we've got a lot of pentacles happening because there's this urge to be grounded. However, the Four of Pentacles, the Four of Pentacles is a warning that in your need for safety and security, do not hoard. Like it is a fine line between preparing
Mm-hmm.
and being afraid.
Right.
Ultimately, they can look the same,
Mm-hmm.
having a full pantry or stocking up on toilet paper or like whatever you're hoarding. Maybe it's your affection, maybe it's your money, maybe it's your stuff, maybe it's your patterns and habits, whatever. But it's also the Four of Pentacles, which is fours are nice, balanced, grounded energy. They're like the four posts of something. So the fours and everything are usually a balanced energy, just like we had in the Four of Wands. They're the people sitting on the top of the building. It's also an invitation to realize that you do have everything at your disposal always. So a relaxing and being responsible and being prepared and needing safety, but allowing for safety under your own power is different than being like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do?
Yep.
So embody this feeling of the Queen of Pentacles, who's always relaxed, always in control. She knows, she's mature, she's able to do things, she's able to make something out of nothing. She
Mm-hmm.
has reserves, she has skills, she has an innate knowing in a very tangible way, a tangible outlet, I should say. So there's an innate knowing that has a external manifestation. So those, that week as Mercury starts doing its thing, I think we'll be going like, well, it's not so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff is going on, but I think it gives us a little bit of breathing room while we've got that first week and everything else that's been happening since the beginning of October behind us. We get to kind of get our footing
A
from the
little bit.
the
Yeah.
9th to the middle of the month, and then
And then I think the entire tarot deck came out. Um, that week of the 16th through the 22nd. Ooh, that's a lot going on. So we've got water trines between the Sun and Scorpio, Jupiter and Cancer, Saturn and Pisces. Then we've got Mercury, very active and retrograde, right? So we've on November 2nd, excuse me, November 17th, we got Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, sextile Pluto and Aquarius. And then the next day, Mercury goes in its retrograde back into Scorpio.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mercury back in Scorpio, retrograde, opposes Uranus and Taurus. All of this is part of that new moon in Scorpio, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
on November 19th. Then on the 20th, we have the Sun in Scorpio conjunct the Mercury retrograde in Scorpio. So that is the Mercury retrograde Cassimi with the Sun in Scorpio. So there's a deep understanding, there's a deep knowing, lots of water. November 20th, we have Uranus and Taurus sextile Neptune in Pisces. November 21st, we have right before we start Sagittarius season, the last thing that the Sun in Scorpio does is oppose Uranus and Taurus. And then November 22nd, we have Mercury in Scorpio, trine Saturn in Pisces. So all of that water energy. So it's going to take us into what you were talking about a few moments ago, which is you have to, instead of panicking and it's like, what are we going to do? This middle part of the month is the invitation to go within and discover the power of self-resourcefulness through that Scorpio energy. So what happens when we have a Mercury retrograde in the sign of Scorpio, not only are we invited to go deep within and deep within the psyche, but we are confronted with our greatest fears, our greatest insecurities, the scary stories of what might happen. So on the one hand, all of that water energy being activated is, on the one hand, is incredibly creative. It's this understanding of my connection to the all. I am the creator. I am the abundance. I am that which I say I am, right? On the other hand, it is a little bit of a crisis, an internal crisis. Um, and that new moon in Scorpio, and the next day, that Sun Mercury Cazimi and Scorpio, just really bringing to the forefront of your awareness, your depth and the understanding of your power, or where you feel the most disempowered and afraid.
Mm-hmm.
All of this is going to depend on where you are. One is not bad and one is not right. It's just, think of it as a barometer.
Mm-hmm.
Think of it as, this is just where I'm at, right? What I love about after that new moon is that Uranus in Taurus, sextile Neptune in Pisces. Uranus in Taurus for the last 7 years now has been about, we're redefining safety. You're finding safety within, right? Uranus is the interrupter of patterns, and Taurus it's the sign of material safety of the zodiac. We are interrupting the patterns of material safety so that you can recreate it from within yourself. Sextile Neptune in Pisces. Neptune in Pisces is the connection to source and spirit.
Mm.
From this point on, we cannot live thinking that there is no connection to source,
Yeah.
right? And as we move into Sagittarius energy, I think we're going to, and it happens every year. I notice it every year. When we move from Scorpio to Sagittarius, it's like the weight lifts. It gives us an opportunity to say, okay, if this is what I saw within me, deep within me, Sagittarius always says, how do you transmute that? How do you, instead of thinking of the worst case scenario, imagine the best case scenario? Not because you're disconnecting from life, but because you realize that there is an internal power of creation within you. This is
Mm-hmm.
different. This is so different.
And even, let's say we do end up with the worst case scenario.
Right.
Well, it's quite possible. Bad stuff happens to so many people. We envision, oh, that will never happen to me, or this will never happen to me, or whatever, and let's just keep
Right.
thinking positive. How do we stay positive amidst things going completely sideways?
Mm-hmm.
How do we still feel good
Mm-hmm.
when everything out there goes wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Everything. We
Mm-hmm.
we're not dependent on that when we feel that
Right.
we are. And so
Right.
that grounded, um finding that groundedness amidst loss or amidst restriction or strife is
Right.
like we're actually all of this inside. We're not all these check marks because of what's out there, or the external validation, or the stuff that we've amassed, or the salary that we have, or the house that we live in. It's
Mm-hmm.
that shift is happening. So yes, you were not kidding that we've got like practically every card in the tarot deck for this week. We have 10 cards because we have 10 issues in aspects. So let's start with these two. So we start off with the Ace of Pentacles and the Five of Pentacles. Great card everybody looks for and the card everybody dreads. So these two together are exactly what I just said. It is, Mercury retrograde, people get afraid. Well, I shouldn't sign any documents. I shouldn't make any decisions. I shouldn't, and they pause everything because they're preparing for something to go wrong, especially in communication or documents or whatever, letters and paperwork. It's saying now more than ever, you need to be strong and move forward. Now more than ever, you need to continue on your path. Now more than ever, you need to stand firm in your identity, your new identity that you are for the next era. Then you've got, so these are nice together too. So we've had the Queen of Pentacles in the previous week. Now we have the King of Pentacles. So it's the same energy, that confident, grounded, earthy, stable, deep knowing energy, but with a masculine aspect to it. And then the Lovers, where those things are united, where we have those, when do I receive, when do I take action, when do I output, when do I input, how to keep all of that in this flow of balance. Because as we get through like the middle of the week, we've got the Knight of Swords, which is like, it can feel like a lot of information is coming up, not just coming at you, or suddenly it's like, oh yeah, you got the green light, so now you got to go. When do I have to go? In 15 minutes.
Right. Exactly.
And it's air, right? So this is intangible, and yes, you can feel like you're flying on a feather in a thunderstorm, conducting electricity with a wand, very much. So in addition to that, now here's the other, I'm going to just pull these two out. There is again a King and Queen of Wands, fire energy. So that is there as well. And with that, this is just amazing how they pick up on this energy. The Three of Swords, all the things that hurt you, all the wounds, all the sadness, all the grief, all the loss, all the, they said this and that was that, and oh, and it hurts, and that's been my story, and that's why I blah blah blah. The Six of Pentacles, or sorry, the Six of Pentacles is about, because there's cups in it. I'm like, it's cups. No, it's pentacles. That feeling of reciprocity, of being able to receive, not because you're a victim, but because you have paid your dues, because you keep going, because you show up for yourself, because you keep putting one foot in front of the other, and you know that it's just going to come back to you. It will come back to you. So the King and Queen on either side of that, it's, the fiery energy. If you had nothing left on the planet, where do you find your inspiration? Where do you find your connection? Where do you find meaning? And then our lovely Scorpio card, the Death card. And it's death and rebirth. I mean, she's completely exposed, and there's beautiful things growing out of her again. And people go like, I'm tired of being resilient, I'm tired of reinventing myself. Well,
Mhm.
that is only because you've been fed a whole lot of you know what, in that you just get somewhere and then you live happily ever after. Well, that is boring. That is not that is not how things work. And that's not what people believed for a millennia before maybe the last 100 years or so.
Yeah,
It
right,
is the act of renewal, constant renewal until you're dead as your identity, as this person that you are right now. And then guess what? It still transmutes. So this fear of death and this fear of endings and everything else, it's not. It's like, yes, just keep being resilient, keep reinventing yourself. That is the reality. So
right,
embrace it. It's amazing. You just get to do it
right,
again and again and better and better.
right.
Yeah.
Spoken like someone with a moon in Scorpio. You have a moon in Scorpio, right? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Well, it's either, you know, either we can say it's amazing or we're going to be under the rubble of it all.
Exactly.
So, you know,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, okay. So as we move into the last week of the month, so the week of the 23rd,
mhm,
that is more water, lots of water, lots of water. We will be in Sagittarius season, but and that I think that will allow for us to navigate all of that water beneath the surface, regenerative, soulful, regenerative energy. Um, I think with more willingness, with less of a possibility of like being boggled down by it all or drowning in it all, right? Again, Sagittarius is the optimist of the zodiac. And at the
mhm,
very least, it asks, what is all of this trying to teach me? Sagittarius is the philosopher of the zodiac, and it gains its wisdom and philosophy by the experiences of life, which is why is the traveler, right? So we have November 23rd, Mercury in Scorpio trine Jupiter in Cancer. Very intuitive, very creative, wild dreams, I think. Then Mercury and Scorpio conjunct Venus in Scorpio the next day. That's going to be an important day for conversations around negotiations, money, and relationships. November 25th, Venus in Scorpio trine Saturn in Pisces. It's a groundwater trine between Venus, Saturn, and Jupiter. Um, I'll get to that in a second. On November 27th, Saturn finally goes direct in Pisces. November 29th, Mercury goes direct in Scorpio. November 29th, Venus in Scorpio opposes Uranus and Taurus, but creates a trine to Neptune in Pisces. And then we end November 30th with Venus in Sagittarius. That groundwater trine between Venus and Scorpio, Saturn and Pisces, especially as Saturn goes direct the next day, and Jupiter in Cancer, this to me feels like what am I deeply soulfully committed to?
mm,
When we speak of Venus and Saturn, we're talking about the commitment that comes from a sense of value, right? Venus, sense of self-worth and value. And because Scorpio energy is very active the entire month, we are excavating, getting to the depth of what that means. And Venus in Scorpio, anytime it has a connection to Saturn, one of the interpretations is what am I committed to? And what I'm
mm,
committed to is only a reflection of what I'm committing to within myself, how I'm keeping promises to myself. And then Jupiter in Cancer there, I think again, because it has represented so much around like family healing, ancestral healing, inner child healing, self-parenting. That's what's come up so much all year is I am committing, I am committed to this relationship or place or whatever based on what I have healed within,
Mhm.
based on, or at the very least, based on a clearer understanding of the younger version of me that used to make decisions of my life and the more grounded present adult that is making decisions now. On the other hand, whenever Saturn and Venus are connected, a different expression is I have to earn love. I have to suffer to earn love. And that's going to feel like you're drowning in suffering. The lowest expression of water energy, especially an accumulation of it, is just like suffering and being completely consumed by it. So
Mhm.
we'll see.
Well, one thing that you might have noticed, we've had a lot of king and queens show up,
Hmm. Hmm.
pairs. And we've had, minimal major arcana cards, except when they're very pertinent. So we start off that week with the Five of Swords. And the fives in the minor arcana are all about change and minor disruptions. So we've had both the Five of Pentacles and the Five of Swords. Oh, no, sorry, Five of Wands, and now the Five of Swords. So 555. It's constant change. It's irritations. It's loss. It's reconfiguring. Well, now what am I going to do? How am I going to do this with this? And why does it have to be complicated, or why isn't that person doing what they're supposed to be doing? they're all they're just irritations. Like, if you had a skin irritation and you still had to do whatever, how would you cope?
Yeah.
It's not, yeah, it's not like a major life event. So the Queen of Swords shows up right after that, reminding us, and this is the one that does not have a king counterpart in this reading. The Queen of Swords sits up high. She sits up confident. She can see. She removes herself from the petty disruptions and chaos and other people's problems and opinions and all of that, the debris, even if it's my own. The
Yeah.
Queen of Swords sits up high and she recalibrates up there. She's like, I'm going to just let the thing show up. And when it's in alignment, I will entertain it. And if it's a person showing up, they can wait at a certain distance. They better show up clear, clean, with integrity. If I even sense any amount of BS coming out of them,
Yeah.
said or unsaid, it's like, no, you get the end of my sword. Back.
Mhm. Yep.
Now, with all that water energy, we have the moon. The moon is very watery, it's very intuitive. Um, it can be very lonely and dreamy and unclear also. So she is not consumed by the water. She is not drowning in the water. She is sitting there sort of assessing with her little wolf, the thing that, that story of like, what wolf are you feeding, kind of thing. But it is sort of assessing your motivations, assessing your desires, assessing your validation, assessing your, why do I feel this way, why do I react that way, why do I seek this, does this give me pleasure, am I pleasure seeking, am I validation seeking, am I confrontation seeking? Like, there's a lot
Right.
of different things. And then it's almost like we're given just a little bit so we get to balance out. So the Two of Pentacles is often about restriction in a sense. Money comes in, money goes out. Having to juggle things, having to weigh two sides of things. But you don't get all of it. You just get enough that you can handle. When you make sense of that, you get more. You kind of move to the next level of the game. Now, the last four cards are really interesting. They're very positive. Okay, so you talk about going into Sagittarius season. It is nice. So the Page of Cups is always about sort of accessing that childlike innocence within yourself.
Mhm.
And it's not being childish, it's quite the opposite. It's when you are fully mature, you need to find that playfulness in you, the part that doesn't judge yourself. Like, I just want to build it because it's fun. Like, take out your Lego and make something, brainstorm or whatever. And then mixed with the sun. And I find this particular card really intriguing in this deck because she's still partly hidden. Just because the light shines on everything doesn't mean you're going to know everything. Doesn't mean you need to know everything. Doesn't mean you should know everything. So it's very positive. It's probably the sun is usually like the best card in the deck, and that things are really positive. If you look at what is there, not what you've lost, it is really positive. And because of that, because you shift that little switch in your mind to seek what is positive and to be grateful for what is positive, you get the Nine of Cups, which is abundance.
Mhm.
Whatever that means for you. It's not abundance of problems. It's abundance in its positive sense. Abundance means all the good things. So having a full table, having good friends, having positive interactions, having all of your needs met,
Right.
having it's more than enough for just you. So when
Right.
we get into the nines, it's always more than the basic, more than just getting by. It's always that it's not even the growth part. It's like, oh, this is what I could experience if I allow it.
Yeah.
And then, and this is super nice, we end up with the Ace of Wands, which is fire energy again. And it's the beginning of something. It's the beginning of inspiration. It's the beginning of, I always think back to when I was a graphic designer, when when I was given a huge budget and no parameters at all. It was really hard to come up with an
Mm.
idea because it could be anything. But the
Right.
moment you have somebody with a limited budget and they can only do this and it has to get you that, all of these restrictions allowed you to be really creative
Wow. Yeah.
in order to have inspiration to do something. So if like necessity is the mother of invention, and laziness is the mother of efficiency.
Yeah.
The Ace of Wands is like that. Well, so what? Let's say everything fell apart.
Mhm.
Now's my chance to be inventive and creative and connect and inspired and inspire others. I still have things that are useful for other people.
Mhm.
So that's where we end the month, which I think is a good thing.
I think so too. I think so too. That transition from Scorpio to Sagittarius energy every year um, is really interesting. Every Scorpio season is transformative in some way, shape, or form.
Mhm.
And the going into Sagittarius energy is, oh, this is the wisdom of all of that
Yeah.
transformation, of all of that depth, except that I think that November is a bit of another boot camp, emotional.
Yeah.
But we've had enough experience. And I think that unlike before, even with a Mercury retrograde, we're not unclear. Like we're
No.
clear. We know, like this is one of those months of, we know better. We know better. Whatever that
Yeah.
means to you, whatever
Yeah.
scenario, we know better. You have
Mhm.
the tools, you have the awareness, you have the resources. If not all of those things, one of those things, right?
Right.
So that's empowering. There's something empowering about remembering if I have nothing left, right?
Yeah.
What is there?
Yeah, there's a
It
whole lot.
forces you to win. Right,
Yeah,
there's a whole lot, exactly.
whole
So
lot. And I think it's, something you said makes me think about, realizing your power, like reclaiming your power. People have become disenfranchised. They feel that they have no solutions, that they're either taken advantage of, that there's no outlet, or they've lost their job, or their government has failed them, or the society, or their collective, or whatever their group is. Their education is no longer valid.
right,
There's a whole bunch of things.
right.
But what do you have? That sense of like, well, I do have autonomy, although we've been conditioned to think that we don't.
Mhm.
How do I do things?
Right.
How do I conduct myself? Nobody can dictate how I conduct myself. At the end of the day, you have your word, you have honor, you have integrity, you have love, you have joy. They're not external. Yes, we respond to different things, but those things should just be temporary fluctuations. Our baseline should be our baseline.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've solved all those problems. We've solved 28 issues in the month of November. Wonderful.
You're welcome.
This is like how many cards we used for
I
the
know.
for that. That's quite funny.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, we were doing these every month. We don't do them every month now because we've got so much going on. But yeah, it's always nice, to catch up in this platform, and I hope people get a lot out of it, and it helps stabilize you and guide you towards the end of the year into the new year. And who knows, we might do one for December.
Right.
Yeah,
We'll see. We'll see. I think there will be a lot of creativity flowing in November, so we just might.
we might.
Yeah.
So, okay, fingers crossed. All
Okay.
right,
Thank you
thanks
all so
everyone.
much. Take care.